Hey everybody, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm Matt Connerton, and of course, to my right, the most honorable, and wearing a very patriotic tie, by the way, Gary S. Hopper.
Matt!
That's me.
Long time no see since, when was it?
7 days ago.
No.
Oh, no, that's right. I saw you
No,
at
you
the
liar.
Dr. Ben Carson. Right.
Dr. Ben.
I wasn't lying. I have amnesia.
Oh,
Terrible-
all right.
terrible
What
head
day,
injury.
What day was that? Was that Monday?
That was
Monday night.
Monday, yep.
I went all the way to the seacoast with my favorite wife and to see Ben Carson, and lo and behold, there's Sir Matt of Connerton.
Yes, we were recording for...
Yes, and my eyes are doing much better because you waved and I actually saw you, and that was
Yes.
a good distance away.
Yeah, that was actually, you're right. You were out there
You
in the
only
sea of
presume
folks.
I knew it was you.
Right. For all I know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, hopefully, I would assume you'd recognize my voice, even if you couldn't actually see me.
I couldn't hear you from there.
You would
did I?
know. Those are the dulcet tones
Dulcet
of
tone,
Matt
right?
Connerton
Yes,
yelling Gary.
right. You did yell it?
I think so. I think I
I
yelled
don't
it.
think so.
I might have just
remember.
waved. I don't know.
I think you just waved.
But you saluted.
I saluted, right? Because that's how good I am. Hey, I thought he was pretty good.
I enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, you know, he's a pretty conservative guy, and I'm not, so I didn't agree with everything.
Right.
But he came across very well, much better than he does on TV. I think I commented to you after. Sometimes some of the clips I've seen of him on television, I find him very sort of polarizing. But in person, I really enjoyed his presentation.
I did. I liked the fact that he was inconsistent. And I know that sounds stupid. I'll just leave it there.
Okay.
No, wait. Okay. But I really like it because it shows that he's like I went to see I always wanted to say Tom, but it's not Tom. What's the other guy running for president that has the same name as the guy who played in spy movie? What the
So you remember stuff? Oh, Ted Cruz?
Ted Cruz.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
not
worked,
Ted
okay.
Cruz. Yeah, Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise's brother.
Yes.
Okay, so I went to see Ted Cruz in a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I also took my favorite wife to that, and he said all exactly the right things. You know, he says the things about, and I just want to say something about the veterans. And can the veterans in the audience please, you know, wave a hand so we can give you. And I get it, but it is so much BS.
Yep.
I mean, I have.
It's like he's following a script.
He's following a script. He's going after the easy applause, and I have as much regard for the veterans as anybody. You know,
course.
Dad was one of the frozen chosen in Korea. I can't imagine some of the stuff we've put our kids through in the
Right.
name of protecting our country. But by the same token, it's just BS.
Right. It feels very fake.
Yeah.
And just
But when
staged.
when Carson was making contradictory statements, it made me believe that he hasn't like scripted everything.
Yeah, he's sincere.
He's
came across
sincere. He
very
came
sincere.
as very sincere, and I would certainly vote for somebody who was sincere and wrong on a couple issues versus somebody who was just knew exactly what to say and when to say it.
Me too. Absolutely.
You know, also Cruz is a lawyer, so
right.
you lose a lot of points right there because you're part of the. Because the thing is, the lawyers, as much as I hate them, are accustomed to forcefully arguing something regardless of whether they believe in it or not.
True.
And they're very good at it, or they wouldn't be good lawyers.
And they run the risk of being shot in the face by Dick Cheney.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's that.
Yeah, but that's probably a positive. And so,
Right.
so anyway, I thought it was pretty good. The reason I say he was contradictory is he went on and was explaining that the Department of Education, Federal Department of Education, is so profoundly bloated. There's over 400,000 members, and the average pay is over $100,000 for this 400,000 member. He said that's got to get pared down. He says he doesn't agree with getting rid of the Department of Education, but believes it needs to be reduced and less intrusive. But then he turned around and said we could use it to regulate some of these colleges that are so profoundly left-wing, and if that's all they allow is a left-wing view, is to restrict how much money goes to them.
Right. So then all of a sudden he's making this pro-regulation argument.
Yeah, he is.
Right. Yeah, I know. I caught that too.
Yeah. So, but that's a function of not being polished or being a politician, and because most politicians, except me, because I'm not that smart, most politicians understand that if you say something, you gotta weigh that out. How is that going to come across, and think of the counter arguments before you spit it out.
Right.
And he hasn't done that. I think he should be a little bit more careful. But by the same token, it was nice to hear somebody who was really sincere. I'd really like to see somebody like him. And who's the guy from Vermont? I've forgotten his name because I got brain.
Bernie Sanders?
Bernie Sanders. I would love to see that as a presidential campaign in 2016, only by virtue of the fact it would be a sincere argument over sincere policy differences instead of just ridiculous sound bites, because so many people make their decision on who they're going to vote for president in the last 2 weeks over ridiculous sound bites and attack ads in the last 2 weeks of the campaign.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're irrelevant.
Right, I know. Bumper sticker politics.
Bumper sticker politics, exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was pretty impressed with him.
Yeah, I was
not that impressed with Ted Cruz.
No, I'm not impressed with Ted Cruz at all.
But I wonder if they're both. I should have, because they had a thing at Ted Cruz thing where you could ask him any question, even a hard question.
Yeah.
I should have asked him if he was into Scientology too, because it just makes sense.
It does, obviously.
Anyway, let's see what else is happening. I had a really. Let's back up. Tuesday, we passed out of the House Judiciary Committee the felonies first legislation, which is going to streamline the process. Right now, the process is that Matt gets caught again, and gets caught for a felony, and what would go to the local court. Like if you were in Goffstown, it would go to the Goffstown court. You'd be arrested and arraigned. Then there would be a probable cause hearing, and then your lawyer, if you had one, or a court-appointed lawyer, would try to get discovery from the police as to what evidence they have. And then it would finally get to the probable cause hearing, at which point that would be waived because your lawyer waives it so that in exchange for the that information from the police, which is all just bartering, basically. It's a bartering tool more than it is a practical application. Sure. And so what they're doing is they're going right to the on felony cases, they're going to go directly to like in case if it was Goffstown, it'd go right to Hillsborough County DA. And the discovery has to be within the first 10 days if you're incarcerated and 20 if you're not. And you still have the right to ask for a probable cause hearing if you really want one.
Okay.
But probable cause hearing, for those people who don't know, who haven't been arrested as many times as Matt has, is just a function of, it is at that hearing that the police present what the crime was, and that evidence or some evidence or whatever, not minimal amount of evidence, that Matt is mostly likely the one who committed that crime. So it's the burden of proof is really, really light. So it's not, but anyway, so this felonies first is supposed to streamline the process, get you a quicker resolution to whatever decision the court makes, a quicker decision. So in all, it should save money. It should be more beneficial, especially to the victims, because they're getting some sort of resolution quicker, and actually more beneficial to the people who commit the crime, because if they've committed the crime and they go to jail quick, the psychological link between the crime and the punishment is very immediate, or more immediate. So there's a behavioral factor in there. So anyway, that's what we're doing. We're trying it in 3 counties first to see how it works and try to iron the bugs out. So that passed judiciary. That'll go to the full house, I think, on the 4th of June. But then today was really sad. I have a friend of mine whose name is Audra, who is going through a messy divorce. I think that's redundant. But she's chosen to take the advice of some people who are basically advising her not to comply with the court orders as if she's not under that authority.
Okay.
Well, they cuffed her and stuffed her today in court.
I was going to say, that sounds like bad advice.
Yeah, it was bad advice. She's hasn't worked, but by the same token, the court systems in divorce cases are the system itself is so corrupt. Not corrupt. That's probably not the. Maybe in some cases it's corrupt, but it is so twisted that people get pretty desperate. It's almost like when you hear on TV. I remember Steve McQueen when he came down with cancer, and he got very desperate because they said basically there's no hope. You're gonna die. And so he ended up in Mexico trying, I don't know, avocado pits or some crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything, because when you're that desperate, you're willing to try anything.
Sure.
And I think that's basically what happened with Audra. She was willing to try anything because, and we as a government have put her in that position. You know, by making the system so bizarrely difficult.
Yeah.
Because it is difficult, because you have he said, she said. You have a guardian ad litem or marital master who comes in and tries to sort this out. They pick sides.
Right.
And that's the only thing the judge actually hears.
Right.
And once that guardian ad litem has picked sides, pretty much you're done.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, from there on in, you got to prove that you're not as much of a jerk as they say you are.
Right, exactly.
And she has expended a lot of money, I'm pretty sure she lost custody of her kids. She hasn't actually had a job or work since January, yet the court today told her she had to come up with, I think it was $17,000, or she was going away.
Okay.
Okay, and she's still not complying, and her, the attack attorney, said, well, we think she has money in her retirement. Okay, so now the court system is implying that she's supposed to take she's not old enough to retire.
Right.
You're not supposed to you can't even take loans out anymore on your retirement.
Right.
So they want her to take out money out of a retirement, which is a 30% penalty, or I forget what penalty. It's been a while.
The word extortion comes to mind.
It's
in all this.
wicked bad. It is very much extortion. I mean, I think she's playing her cards wrong. Well, by the same token,
is she in jail right now?
Yes.
Oh,
that was this morning. That was Audra. Okay. She's on my Facebook. Pray for the young lady. I mean, it's just brutal.
Yeah.
But that's the system we've set up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's not right. We heard. Later on today, I went from that. This is another great day in Gary Hopper's life, but not really, because the people involved are the ones that are really hurt, not me. Yeah. It is pretty, but it's pretty. I don't know.
It's got to be frustrating.
It's frustrating is a good way.
Close. Yeah.
A gentleman, and I should remember his name. I meant to bring the paper with me, but I didn't. He was going in the early 2000s. He was going through a divorce with his wife. He lives in, I forget what town in New Hampshire, and she lived after the separation. He had a property in Haverhill, Massachusetts, and he was like getting custody of the kids. And she sued, and again, the marital master decided that living in Haverhill or whatever town it was the most logical for those children, because the town he was living in, Massachusetts and New Hampshire, there were not enough black kids like him.
Okay.
So they made a decision entirely based on, this is the evidence that I saw today, okay? the court made a decision because the marital master made the recommendation, but the judge still has to approve of it.
Yeah.
They made a court decision entirely based on race.
Yeah. To make sure he was around more black
Yeah,
kids.
but that's all. It doesn't matter.
It's like reverse
It does.
busing.
It has not. There is nothing after that you need to know.
Right.
Okay, you can't make a decision based on race. And he fought it. He finally ended up with custody of the kids, but it's been a long haul.
Yeah.
Luckily, the guy's got a long, extensive background in law enforcement and understands the laws.
Yeah.
And he pushed the envelope. They had, he appealed it to the state Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court refused to hear it. And then it went to he tried to go through the feds, but they won't hear it because they're friends with the state Supreme Court.
Sure, yeah.
So he needs what he really needs is a lawyer that's capable of taking this to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Maybe he needs Ted Cruz. He's argued in front of the Supreme Court.
Tom Cruise, he's the
or Tom Cruise. They'd be so
Cruise.
starstruck by him that they would have to go with with his
But anyway,
arguments.
this is like a clear-cut case. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't decide where that child's going to live based on
right. Yeah.
the color.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree.
As
That's-
if this kid with dark skin is going to be ostracized in the New Hampshire school system, which is BS.
Yeah.
And the school system where the father wanted to bring him up was much better. There's gang violence where the marital master or guardian ad litem wanted to put him. There was some after he finally got custody. There was shootings in the neighborhood where this kid was going to be placed. So this is the stuff we were dealing with today. We don't know. We're going to have some more meetings with this guy. He's going to come on the show.
Yeah.
I talked to him to see if he was willing, but he's Ralph's his first name. Pray for him too. He's got pretty bad asthma, and everybody knows how the pollen counts. I left the building to go across after our hearing was over. The powers that be don't let us meet in the regular buildings, so we're in like across the street in the corner in the back in the dark.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's wicked funny, but we still met nonetheless, and it was very very interesting case. And we're gonna, like I said, we'll get more to that in later programs. But so that's and the most important thing today is I got my legislative license plate for my motorcycle.
Good. So you have one. So you can, if you have more than one vehicle, you can just request. Or do you have to pay for the additional
Oh,
plate?
sure.
Yeah.
Well, we make $100 a year. You can at least afford another plate,
Yeah.
right? But this is a tiny one, so it's only $5.
Oh, good.
So
yeah.
yeah, I got that today, so I got to put that on tomorrow. But anyway, so I got the new bike. I got over 500 miles on it
Yeah.
since last week,
Yeah.
and it just runs so good.
Good.
Anyway, I've forgotten your last name, John.
Johnny Be Good.
Johnny
That's what I go
Be
by.
Good. Johnny
That's
Be
pretty
Good.
easy to remember.
Yep.
Bad
Like the
Company.
Chuck Berry song.
Bad Company.
No, it's bad. Oh, it is Chuck Berry. It is
Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry.
Absolutely.
Little Chucky.
Bad Company's not even the same era.
No.
Don't worry, you may not get it, but your kids will love it.
Right. Oh, really?
It's a
Johnny-
Back to the Future reference.
It's Back to the Future? Johnny Be Good. Why?
Have you not seen
Have
Back
you
to
not
the Future?
seen Back to
Gary?
I have, but I don't get it.
No.
It's been a
When
while
Michael J.
since
Fox goes up and plays it, and it's way before its time.
Oh.
Best part of the movie.
It is?
I think
Well,
so.
that, you know,
I would agree.
I
We don't need
thought
roads
the
where we're going,
DeLorean
but
was
that's too.
the
Right.
DeLorean was the best part of the movie. That was a nice car.
It was a nice
I
car.
want to get one of the.
Do you know why they chose 88 miles per hour? Because that's as fast as it'll go.
No.
True story. That's as fast
DeLorean?
as a DeLorean will go. Do you know why they were originally
know that.
brought into the country?
I thought they were made by Ford. No,
They were
Ford
made
bought
by
them out.
this little pop-up company, and the whole reason they were made was so they could smuggle cocaine into the country. Hence why we only had them for
Yeah.
about 2 years, and then they were like, well, why are these cars So heavy.
That I knew only because I remember
No.
when I was a kid.
Is
there
that
was
really
a,
true?
Yeah. Oh,
There was
yeah,
a Saturday Night
absolutely.
Live skit about that.
Yep.
And I remember my mother having to explain it to me because I didn't get the joke, and she
Yep.
explained it to me. Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I did not know that. I thought
Yeah.
they were sports cars.
No, I mean they looked like it,
Yeah.
but no, they were cocaine smuggling cars. But yeah, they topped out at 88 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting. I didn't know
What do
about
you
that.
what do you call the thing that was on the back of the DeLorean in the Back to the Future?
The flux
Flux
capacitor.
capacitor. I got to get one of those for my bike.
Yeah.
I want to get a flux
You
capacitor,
actually you can get one that plugs right into your cigarette lighter in your car,
and it goes back in
and
time.
but it looks like it has the little lights that flash, and you can set the date and stuff, and
Oh, that's pretty,
pretty
cool.
neat. Yeah, you can find it on.
So if you're
eBay.
high enough, you think you went back in
Probably.
time. Yeah.
Well, maybe if you get one, you could smuggle cocaine in your motorcycle.
There you go.
That'd be a good side job, and it's tax free.
Right?
It is tax free.
For now.
I don't.
For now.
I don't think it's something I probably should say on television.
Probably not. Yeah, it's probably a bad idea,
That's
Gary.
a bad idea, Matt. Okay, that's all right. Anyway, back to the present.
Back to the present. Yes.
So you came on to talk about what? Go ahead.
Well, a couple different things. You'd asked if I could come on and talk about conspiracy theories a bit. There's certain things I can talk about, certain things I can't. But what I can talk about is my personal experience with the whole conspiracy theory thing.
Okay, go.
So, all right, the way it all started, it was a little
Back
bit
in
of,
the day.
Oh yeah, this was about 3 years ago. I actually just uncovered the cell phone that this all happened on yesterday, in the back of my Jeep. Got my first smartphone. Yay! 36 hours later, whole big mess of stuff happened.
Wait. This is okay. So let's start with the smartphone. See, I don't have one, so I don't know anything about it.
Okay,
One
so
of these days, when I get old enough, I'll get one. So is this
no,
was
don't,
it?
don't do it.
No,
You have a flip phone? Because if you do, stick with that smartphone. It runs your life.
no. My wife does that.
Well, mine too, but through the
and-
cell phone, you know.
Oh yeah,
Now
right.
she knows where I am.
got mind
You can't be like,
control.
I'm over here. No, you're right here. It says so on your GPS.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so was this a brand new smartphone?
Yep, it was a Boost Mobile, just a tiny little thing. I called it my half smartphone because it couldn't do all the things an iPhone could, but it sure could pretend it could. It had the browser function. You
Okay.
could go on the Google, and I had my cell phone, my
Okay.
my texting.
So,
and
but it's
then
new. Is
Facebook.
my main thing. It's not.
Yeah, it was
It's
brand
not
new at the
something you
time.
bought somebody else, and all of a sudden there's this weird information on it. That
No. Opened it right up out of the package.
All
About 2-3 weeks into it, my girlfriend and I, she was my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, we were hanging out, and I'm like, oh, somebody mentioned something on some TV show about the Loch Ness Monster. I'm like, oh, I love the Loch Ness Monster. I'm going to see if there's any new videos. Well, there was one, and it was just a couple of logs floating down the river. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it says, oh, Chupacabra, new video. Oh, hey, the Chupacabra, let's
Right,
see.
right.
Some little alien thing standing there like, black and white video, real wavy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, where's Bigfoot? And then I see Mothman, and Mothman is my personal
Okay,
favorite.
wait. What's Mothman? That one, the other ones I'm very familiar with.
Mothman is something, I want to say it was happening in Pennsylvania near a steel yard. There was this big moth-like winged creature that was terrorizing these towns. They actually made a movie about it, based off of the rumors. There's never been any hard factual evidence,
Right.
but the movie was awesome.
Huh.
Great movie. The way they played it out and the way it was like, you don't know if this is all in these people's
Wouldn't it
heads
have been
or...
hit by a truck by the headlights by now?
It in the movie it does get hit.
would think so.
It does get hit, and we were in the theater
Sorry.
and everybody was like, "It's about time," because he's a moth,
Right, exactly. Okay.
Well, so I'm watching these videos on the Mothman and all of this, and then all of a sudden it leads me to this little read more about the Mothman here. So I'm reading about it, and it leads me to this one-liner: the Mothman may be an escaped experiment from the Dolce facility.
What's that mean?
Well, what's the Dolce facility? So I look that up. And here's where the rabbit hole starts.
Oh,
So the
gosh.
Dolce facility is
By the way, you do
supposedly-
understand there's rabbit holes all over the internet.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. And they all lead into each other.
Yes.
Well, so the Dolce facility is a human alien-run base out in the mesas somewhere underground that, goes across underneath the entire U.S. and everything.
Yeah.
And it's been there since, the 1930s, 1960s area, right in that 30 years sometime it popped up. And they say that there's, I want to say 3 different types of aliens living there, which are the Greys, the Whites, and then the reptilians. So I start reading about all of this, and I'm like, I don't know what any of these are. Well, the reptilians are supposedly what gene spliced us so that we stopped being apes, and now we're part human, and that's why we need the sun, and rah rah. And I'm like, all right, none of this makes any sense.
Okay.
On to the next. So then they talk about the tall whites, and the tall whites came to us when Roswell happened, and they said, hey, there's a ship rotating around your equator, and it's going to come down, and they're going to make this deal with you that, just give us some of your humans, and we won't destroy you, and we need them to save our planet, and da-da-da. Big, long story. We completely were like, yeah, no, we're fine. We'll take care of it. So, of course, the Greys come down, and they make said deal, and, of course, we're like, yeah, give us all the whatever, and, yeah, technology and stuff. Great. We're in the atom bomb race. Let's do this. So... Then they make this whole base, and you've got the tall whites trying to hold everything together so that the Greys aren't taking over our entire society, and they're keeping it hidden. The reptilians are just kind of there. It never says anything more about them except for who they are or what they're doing.
Right.
Genetic experimentation, maybe. So we go from there. While I'm reading about the Dolce facility, I come across another one-liner. Something about Project Blu-ray.
You're as bad as me, because that's what I do, right?
Yep.
I'm going along, and I see just something that catches my eye. Then I got to research that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I don't know what it is, but I
ADD.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
We can only focus on the things we want to focus on. It's not a matter of not being able to focus ever. It's you can only hyper-focus on the things you want to know.
Right.
And then you can absorb it super quick.
yes, exactly. Yeah,
So I start reading.
I got AGBT.
Yeah.
ADT.
All the
That's
letters.
the alarm company, I think.
AGB.
It's on the
So I start
alphabet.
reading about Project Blu-ray, and that uncovers this whole Illuminati plot of how. So Project Blu-ray. Let me start with that. Are you fans of Japanese pop music at all?
A little bit, actually. Yeah, a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
but I ask it jokingly, but are you aware that there's a 3D hologram Japanese pop star that you can touch, and she's not real,
That-
completely light created.
No, I didn't know that.
It's the same type of science, and they were
You
developing
mean like
it.
the one on Archer?
Yes, like that.
Oh,
Okay,
Like that.
she's
Only
cute.
Krieger's little assistant you can't touch. This one you can actually touch. She'll reach out to the crowd and you can feel her fingers, touch your fingers and stuff. And the way they're doing this is they're taking there's different frequencies, ultra high frequency, ultra low frequency, and then EMF, whatever that one is. But they've got all these different frequencies and these lasers projecting into a sodium-rich environment. So you make a fog that comes out sodium-rich,
Oh.
and it compresses the sodium somehow to make it a solid.
Okay.
So everything
Wow.
appears solid, and for short bursts at a time, you can feel it. You
Wow,
can feel like
okay.
somebody's touching, brushing along your skin.
Huh.
So the whole thing went from there. That linked into there's a Russian supercomputer that knows every word and every language and every inflection of how you could say it. You can literally talk to this thing. It'll give you relative feedback, and it learns as you talk to it. So it remembers what you said and then keeps talking to you like it knows you.
Okay.
So that, in combination with Blu-ray, in combination with the different frequencies, because with the frequencies they were doing studies, seeing if they could implant thoughts into people's heads by projecting certain frequencies,
Huh.
so they could make you, without knowing what you're doing, go and shoot somebody or
So
go
mind-
and
mind
jump off a
control.
bridge.
Yeah.
Right.
So everything all
That
ties in
explains
together.
a lot of things I do.
It does,
Yeah,
yeah.
I could just
absolutely.
that's why I should tell my wife.
Some mind control there.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
know.
your
It was
fault.
the EMFs. It was
Right.
the
Yeah,
EMFs.
no way
Project
that I
Bluebeam,
looked
man.
at her. I did not look at that girl without something influencing my brain.
Exactly.
There's no way.
Right.
Well, so I ended up
So
stumbling
sorry.
upon this book. And this book, this guy knows everything that I was looking at, and he ties it all into one. And he says, okay, so here's the plot. Setup. December 12th, 2012. All of a sudden, there's a big bang. And everybody goes outside to see what it is. And up in the sky, whatever your regional god would be. So say in the Middle East you would have Muhammad, and
Right.
over here we're mainly Christian Catholic. There's
money.
a big melting pot, but
It'd
you would
be
have
a giant dollar sign.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the money sign would show up in the sky. And here's the thing: you would get a projection straight into your mind of a thought that would be, all the scriptures, all the tales were told wrong, they were read wrong, interpreted wrong, and then the face would morph, and it would be this new demigod, this one God. I am the new God. You will follow me or perish. Da da da. Oh, I'm not going to follow you. Okay, well here's that other signal that's going to make you kill yourself.
Huh. Okay.
So, total control, but in the best way of we're not totally controlling you, but we're going to scare the crap out of you. And now everybody can agree that there's just this one God because he appeared in the sky.
Right.
And nobody's fighting anymore. Whether it was for peace, whether it was for war, whether it's real or not, I mean, who knows? It could just be some Illuminati plan in a manila folder sitting in a file cabinet.
But so this was supposed to happen in 2012?
This was supposed to happen. I'm still waiting. I don't know.
Right.
I didn't see anyone up in the sky. So suffice to say, but while I'm looking all this up, I start posting about it on Facebook, rapidly, like, oh, and this and that. And, oh my God, you got to look at this. And I'm just leaving
wait. I just want to. Can we back up a second?
Yes.
I have heard a theory like that, but not based on that, and it wasn't. And the reason I say that is, in the Bible it says clearly that when Christ returns, it will be like lightning from going from one side of the sky to the other sky. He will appear basically in a flash.
Yeah.
When he returns. And when he comes back, he's not going to be all, forgiving and lovey-dovey. He's coming back to kick butt and take names.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered that if the Antichrist was to come back, it would have to be in a universal thing. I presumed that he would just come on TV and say that I am Christ, that the Christians have been waiting for. I am Allah, that the Muslims have been waiting for, and this is the truth of it.
Yeah.
Okay. As a Christian, if you're a Christian, always read your Bible, because this is going to trip most of them up. The reason is because when Christ returns, it said every knee will bow.
Yeah.
All right. So when he returns again, it's too late. He's not going to ask you for your allegiance anymore. You've already decided one way or the other.
Yeah.
So there is no decision to follow him at that point. There is, your knees will buckle, period.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that comes prior to that says you have to follow me, it is the Antichrist. But anyway,
Interesting.
No, I see what you mean, though.
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
The correlation and that's
Definitely.
interesting.
Okay, anyway.
Well, so now here's where it gets a little scary. So I'm posting things on Facebook, okay? And all of a sudden, my brand new 3-week-old phone gets bricked, which is like when you hack your phone and you get free service and stuff, they'll send a code and it stops it from working.
Yeah.
Locks the whole phone. So I call Boost Mobile and I'm like, this is weird. I can only touch half of my screen. I can't. It's locked. The bottom half, I can touch the numbers. And they're like, well, that's not normal. Can you still get into emergency dial? Yeah, I can click it right here. Can you push all the numbers? Yes. Okay, we're going to give you the reset code because you can still use it in emergency dial. Here we go. Enter it. Code no longer valid. I'm like, what does that mean? And he goes, well, I'm sorry, sir. I've never experienced this before, but I do have a secondary backup code that you can enter. Totally different code. Enter it. Phone says new parameters accepted. Starts back up. Oh, okay, that's it. Yep, you're all set. It'll restart from fresh. You'll have to enter your contacts and stuff, but if you have them uploaded to our you can download them, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, cool. Start going. Posting on Facebook, checking more stuff out. 20 minutes go by. Bricked again.
No kidding.
Call him back. Dude, seriously? 3-week-old phone. What's going on here? I'm sorry that you're experiencing this, sir. We have an asterisk showing next to your account, but there's nothing on my page that alludes what that means.
Really?
And I'm like, okay.
That's creepy.
And they're like, I'm gonna speak to my supervisor. Is there a number I can call you back that's not this number? And I'm like, yeah, here's my wife's number. Call her. One of us will pick up and you can talk to either of us about it. And he's like, okay. So they call back about 3 hours later. Sounds very different. hello, sir, this is Boost Mobile calling you back. Oh, hey, how's it going? Well, your phone apparently may have a defect. We're going to have to take a look at it. So, and I'm like, well, how are you going to take a look at it? You don't have your Boost Mobile. You don't have stores. You have other stores that sell your phones and have the Boost Mobile logo. And they're like, well, we can send a representative to you.
What?
Really?
Boost Mobile, who doesn't have stores, can send me a representative. And at the time, I was homeless. I was homeless for 8 years. I did it as sort of a social experiment to know what that's like, so that if now that I'm dressed nice and I'm making money and I'm doing what I'm supposed
You
to be doing.
really did do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What?
And I hated it, but I loved every minute of it because every day was a new experience, and you realize you're not breakable that easily. You can do what you got to do to survive without being a scumbag. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah, and
We're gonna have to do a show about that too.
I know. Yeah, we're already gonna. Have
absolutely.
We're gonna have to rebook you. Yes.
Oh,
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
I want to hear that story too. Yeah.
No, I just
That's
saw
a very
homeless
long and
people.
interesting
No,
story.
Okay, go.
So,
Sorry.
all right, so I'm telling them, I'm homeless right now. I don't really have a place per se that you can just come and meet me, but I'll tell you what, Tuesdays and Wednesdays between 12 and 3 p.m., I am definitely going to be in Derry. I know I will be there. I know this is where I'll be, and I'll be in the area of Crystal Ave 7-Eleven. So if you can meet me there and just call me, I'll zip on over, walk if I have to, and I'll be there.
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds good. Hang up the phone.
That is weird.
Yeah.
So my wife and I one night, her phone, we were using her phone, so the phone is just constantly dead, and we're charging it and still using it, so it's just killing the battery. And we're like,
Yeah.
all right, phone keeps dying every 5 minutes. Anytime we move the charger cord, it slips out and the phone just dies. I was like, let's let it charge overnight. No big deal. Turn the phone off about 10 o'clock at night. Get up around 9 o'clock in the morning. Turn the phone back on. There's a voicemail. Who called us in the middle of the night? So I pick up, listening. Hey, this is the Boost Mobile representative outside of this address that you're staying at that you didn't tell us. Come on out if you want your phone fixed. And I mean, this was not even in the same part of town. I was in Derry,
Yeah.
but over on this little bend of a road in a house that set back from the road. Nobody knew I was there. I was with a couple of friends that I don't normally talk to. They were like, hey, we heard your heart up. You need a place to stay for a couple nights. Come on over, hang out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I check. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, when did this come in? I checked the timestamp, 2:38 a.m.
Weird.
2:38 a.m. Boost Mobile representatives outside of my house saying, come on out if you want your phone fixed. Click. So at that point, I showed my wife and she goes, done. Right here. Right now. Done.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And she's
Yeah.
like, no, you got to understand. I didn't want to say anything, but my dad, her father, was all about conspiracy theories, and he started connecting things. And then my mom started getting calls from the government saying, what's he into? Hey, what's he looking at? And granted, he was ex-military.
Really?
He was
Yeah.
ex-army.
Yeah.
He went in, I think 6 times, and then they were like, okay, enough's enough. We can't have you come back in now. And he started going on to his conspiracy things. So I guess
Yeah.
her mom was getting calls for years after they split up
No kidding.
saying, what is he into? And she's like, I don't know. But apparently they keep tabs on people that start connecting stuff. So that was the end of that.
Wow.
Yep. So that was
That's-
my whole big experience. From that point on, I'm very reluctant to talk about it up until probably this year. I was really scared about it.
When
but
was
now,
that? When was that?
This was 2 years ago.
2
Okay.
years ago. Okay.
Yep. So, and I mean, in all honesty,
So
from
I don't
that
feel
point
like,
on.
I think I should just move a little bit away.
I'm thinking we're
I'm
gonna
expecting
get calls
to
in
be.
the middle of the night.
Well, I'm expecting to be, abducted as soon as I walk out of here.
Sure. So, is this the first time you've talked about this in a public forum like this?
In
or-
a public forum, yes. I mean, I've told a lot of
Wow.
people about it. I'm always very insistent on the fact that these are my opinions, and they are. There's
Yeah.
no factual base to this. This is just, I had some free time, and I got a little carried away looking up on Google.
Sure.
This could all just be a strain of misinformation to keep us distracted from
Right.
something else that's going on.
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely.
But I wonder why you specifically, because, and I say that because there's lots of people who are into this stuff. Millions.
I think a
probably,
lot
who
of
are
it
really-
was
Yeah.
that I was so bold to broadcast it. The way that I was kind of
Okay.
I was kind of inciting. I mean,
Oh,
not
because-
to call myself a terrorist, but I was inciting terror by, you need to watch out if this happens, da-da-da.
Right.
And people are going and looking it up, so I can understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it
Not
is,
really.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. It's a little odd. It's a little overboard.
Yeah.
Who's
no.
gonna believe me anyway?
Right.
You know what I
Right,
mean? I'm
right,
some
yeah.
kid from New Hampshire, just hanging out, reading stuff on Google.
Yeah.
No one's going to listen to me seriously and be like, oh my God, this guy knows. He knows what we're doing. He knows what's going on. No, not really. Educated guess.
So at that point, did you stop? You stopped all of that?
Oh yeah. For about a year and a half, I didn't even want to go on Google.
Right.
I was like, nope.
Anything
Google's like that.
Google is so bought and paid for.
Absolutely. So, and I mean, you're getting hand-fed leads. You know what
Sure,
I mean? Everything is advertisement. So
Right, yeah.
they want you to, and the sites.
If there's a connection, it's there deliberately, most likely.
Exactly.
But
Wow. And then I assume the phone. What did you do with the phone?
Took the battery out, took the SIM card out, opened the thing up, took the GPS chip out,
Yeah.
and just was like, I don't want to throw it out just in case someone else wants it, but at the same time, like I said, I just found it the other day, and I'm still afraid to put the battery back in it.
Right. Right.
So, not that, I mean, I'm sure if they could go and find me at my house just because my phone's off, I'm sure they know where I am.
right.
Now, whether they're keeping tabs anymore is...
Yeah.
That is pretty darn interesting. 3 o'clock in the morning, they call you up and say, "Oh, we can fix your phone now."
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's
That is
awesome.
Creepy as hell.
That's awesomely
Yeah.
bad.
wow.
So, from that point on, I was
So
just
what have you
sitting there
done? Is there stuff you can't talk about?
like-
What if I buy you
Well,
coffee?
I do have a couple of friends in the military that do
Right?
Yeah,
tell
that's
me
smart.
certain
That
things,
usually works
and they're
on
like, "Listen, these are the type of things that I know I'm telling you, but you can't tell anyone." And so those are the things that I'll hold on to. Certain
Right.
little
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
One
well,
thing
you
I
can't.
know.
You can't, especially on TV. You
Yeah.
can't disclose that anyway because it is probable that if what I presume what you seem pretty honest. Assuming everything else you said is true, it is probable that people are leaking information given to you is leaked deliberately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the whole straw
And
man
And that's
thing.
the
Yeah.
whole thing is you have to take, like, for instance, a Freemason randomly walks into my life just maybe 6 months ago. I went to Texas, and all of a sudden there's a Freemason there. Randomly, just
How do you know he's
Really
a
interesting.
Freemason?
he told me openly, which that right off was
That's
like,
actually new. The Freemasons actually, you know what's the weird thing about it is they're actually starting to, because there's a lot of Freemasonry up at the State House.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I don't know what percentage of the men are Freemasons at the State House, but it's pretty freaking large.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's very popular up here.
Yeah.
Out
And-
there,
but-
his
but the
whole
thing-
family. Oh, sorry.
The
continue.
thing is they're openly advertising for people to join the Masons.
I've heard them on the radio. I've heard
Oh,
radio
yeah,
ads.
this
And-
is what's neat is now they're transitioning to let's get a bunch of people who are going to take our word without a grain of salt and be like, oh yes, of course, whatever you just said must be true because you said it and you're up above in the Masons from me.
Right, right.
Oh,
So
okay.
now they've got all their underlings coming out, and what he tells me, he says, well, just so you know, last Christmas, or he goes, this coming Christmas, this was in September, this coming
Yeah.
Christmas, I hope you enjoy it because it's the last one you will. And I was like, well, what does that mean, dude?
That's
like,
creepy.
yeah, and he's like, just a lot of things are going to change. And he sort of alluded to aliens becoming more prevalent, and I'm like, and I mean, they have been. Canada went and said, I think the Prime Minister of Canada, or I don't remember exactly who it was, a prominent figure up there came out and said, yeah, there's been aliens living among us forever. We all know about it. Now it's like, whatever.
Really? Yeah. Somebody said
I
that,
guess,
yeah?
and I watched a little interview. I'm not positive on this one because it looked like it was kind of cut to be taken out of context.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was Obama not denying the existence of aliens.
Right.
Yeah, you got to be careful on a lot of stuff.
And that's the whole thing.
I'm a
You can't-
right wing nutcase, so I see a lot of people's Facebook. They'll say Obama said this, and it'll be a short clip of Obama saying something that fits into the narrative.
Yeah.
But if you go listen to it in context, that's not what he
it's
meant.
not exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It's not at all what he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
talking about. And that's
you
what I
know?
love about YouTube is you get all these things where it's like, oh, this and this and this, and then you're like, well, okay, I can see when the camera cuts 20 minutes out. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
He looks sweatier.
Yeah.
He's over here now, and there's 4 more people in the background that are
And
gone.
he's wearing a blue,
Like,
he's wearing a blue tie now.
yeah, these aren't even the same days. What's going on? And that's the great thing is, this is what I love about Facebook. It's my main source of entertainment. I love going on there and finding the stuff that people post, like, oh, today was the Arctic drilling. And they minimalized the entire situation to people protesting oil drilling in petroleum kayaks.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well played, but at the same time, like,
It is funny.
it is
I
funny, but at the same
posted
time,
that.
most people are like, yeah, see, and they're like, I'm like, did you read the actual article about what's going on? Because
Right.
it's pretty
No,
serious, but at the
it
same
is,
time,
it is.
that is
There
pretty
was
funny.
That was pretty ironic. I posted that just
Yeah.
because it was, you got all these Greenpeace, tree huggers protesting the oil wells in, petroleum-made kayaks.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually
Yeah.
very, very funny.
Yeah, not a hint of irony.
No, not at all. But I have some pretty liberal friends too. So they said, "Oh, well, that's not the point," and they get all upset with me. But
Yeah.
it was still funny.
One thing I did want to
Why
talk
aren't we
about.
friends on Facebook?
I need your last name so I can look
Oh,
you
I
up
don't
because I
have
tried
one.
looking and
It's like Hooper or something, or
No,
Hooker, or
Hooker.
what is
Yeah, Hooker.
Hollander,
Oh yeah.
something.
something.
You know
like that.
Dennis Hopper, right?
Yeah.
I'm his brother.
Oh, okay. It's good to know.
Not really. I wish I was, but that'd be cool. No, it's Gary Hopper. Hopper.
You look a little like him.
I do.
Definitely.
I do. Yeah. I got a motorcycle too.
There you go. There you go.
Close enough.
Separated at birth, I say.
I'd
Yeah,
say, yeah.
absolutely.
We had different mothers together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to talk about last week when I stepped in, you guys were talking about the heroin epidemic.
Yes.
On that conspiracy theory note, one thing that I keep noticing that just seems to be not realized is, aren't we in Afghanistan? Didn't we just do a whole bunch of stuff in Afghanistan and now we mainly have control over there? I didn't follow it all that well, so I don't know. So I am
Yeah.
actually genuinely asking.
And that's their big
So,
export.
so
And now all of a sudden we're seeing in places like New Hampshire stuff that's very similar to China White, which was for the longest time the premier heroin of the world.
Right.
And we haven't seen even opium around here in almost 20 years. It hasn't been an issue. You get
That's
the
interesting.
mini drops
Yeah.
of stuff.
So you're trying to imply that the United States government would stoop so low as to take over a country to control the opium output to control the population?
Money.
No.
It could happen. I'm not saying that
no.
it necessarily is.
No,
and I'm not saying that it's the entire
our government loves us.
No, and I'm not saying.
I just
here's
want,
the thing.
I
I'm
want
not
the
saying
people
it's
to
the
know it
entire
is the
government.
official position of rock, paper, hand grenades that the government loves us and would never do anything.
And I'm not saying it would. Here's the whole thing. Just like the police, you get a few bad eggs and they ruin it for everyone.
Right.
I'm not lumping the whole government in. I've met quite a
It's
few
like
government
lawyers.
officials
It's
who
like lawyers, okay?
exactly.
You can't let the 90% of the lawyers that are blood-sucking scumbags, pollute the reputation of that 10%.
Exactly.
Same thing.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Good analogy.
So my whole thing is, I think that somewhere along the line, yes, some amount of heroin from Afghanistan is getting shipped, and where it would hit first would be over here because it makes most sense.
Right.
It's really easy to get stuff into New England and stuff like that because we're not as concerned about it. We're not as prepared as they are in, say, L.A. or Florida or
Sure.
Mexico or any
That
of the
does
bordering
make sense.
states.
That does make sense. There is a logic there.
Absolutely. I mean, we
I
had.
haven't seen that many more DeLoreans.
No.
Well, no.
Well, you will.
Oh, okay.
It's inevitable.
It is. It is. I mean, there was the case of the guys who were running weed from Canada. 25 years they did it.
Yeah.
Faithfully. Every month they'd go up, they'd come back down. They'd go up, they'd come back down. And I mean, they were transporting 900 to 1,000 pounds per truck.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. And it was just simple for them
Yeah.
because we just, we don't think about it. Like,
Right.
wow, who's going to bring stuff in from Canada?
Yeah, Montrebec.
Right. Right.
It's Canada. I mean,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Go up there and grow coca fields? No.
No.
I mean, I could understand us getting a lot of synthetics from Canada.
Right.
It's really easy to ship from the UK or from, over the big pond to Canada and then just carry in a suitcase full of, 10,000 grams of synthetic molly, methadone,
Yeah.
Right.
methylone, whichever. And then there's all your money and all these people are none the wiser. And I feel like a lot of what's going on with the overdoses, like you were saying last week, is that it's not so much that the stuff is too pure.
No.
People will. I'm an ex-junkie. I shot heroin for about 9 months. Got mixed up into it and decided, this isn't how I'm gonna die.
Right.
Yeah.
I took kind of a backwards route to get out of it. I switched to shooting cocaine. Whole nother world, way worse. And eventually, I just
Wow.
got fed up and said, I need to stop. And it took a lot of help. It definitely did. I had a great support system. It took a lot of people walking away, too, keeping their arms length, saying, you know,
Really?
I love you, man, but I know what you're into, and I can't have it around me. I can't fall into that, and I don't know if you're going to steal from me. I don't know if you're going to, you know, and I know that's not you, but this isn't you either.
Right.
So, thankfully, I got out of it, but thank you.
Good for you, yeah.
September 23rd will be 5 years.
Good for you.
Amen, brother.
So,
Yeah.
and I mean, I still wear my scars proudly. I tell everybody that's a junkie. Hey, man, listen, just so you know, there is life after dope. There is, and I know everybody thinks
You know,
that
it's
there's
one
not.
of the sad things. I was talking to a friend of mine, and his response to all the junkies dying and was, he said, "Just make it legal. They only got a 3-year life expectancy. They'll all just die off."
Well, and that's
Horrible,
the thing.
horrible.
A lot of
There's a
people
few
take that
misconceptions
attitude,
I
about it.
know.
Guys aren't usually the ones that die off of heroin. And that's usually. Right now, we're seeing a completely different issue. The reason people are dying is because you've got all these junkies thinking they're scientists. Like, oh, well, I'm just going to cut my bag. It's not cocaine. You can't take baking soda out of the closet and, you know, mix some in and chop it up and you'll be okay. It's not the best, but you'll be okay. They're taking things like,
Protein was one.
what was that? Yeah, it starts with a P. It's that pad. It's the morphine pad, basically. It's like a patch. And what
Okay.
they're doing is they're taking it out and mixing it with lectin powder. Lectin powder is often used in baking. You can use it to make hash tinctures, where you take the oils of the hash and mix it with that and everything. You can use it to cut a multitude of different things, but not heroin. If you're putting it in a needle, it's a coagulant. So the issue we're seeing is people are taking this stuff, and they're not necessarily dying of overdoses. They're dying of heart clogs.
Okay.
This actually just happened with a
wow.
friend of mine, Todd Matthew, out of Manchester. Rest in peace. He was one of the good ones. He was one of the shiny diamonds, as I call them, in Manchester. There's a few good people that are just, everybody knows them, and everybody knows they're a good person, and
Yeah.
they don't do any wrong to people. Granted, they're risk takers. You know, I was one of them. This kid, really good kid, had a family, everything got mixed up, and he was doing really well. And then one night, these two guys, he called them up, you know, hey, you're my friends, can you help me out? And they were like, well, yeah, we can help you out. They went and picked up, you know, say a $50 bag,
Yeah.
gave him $10 worth, cut with a bunch of insert coagulant here, flour, you know,
Yeah.
vitamin B, that's a big one.
Really?
Vitamin B smells very much like heroin, and you find
Huh.
a lot of stuff cut like that. Most
No
of the
kidding.
stuff that is taken
And that's
out
a
of...
coagulant?
I don't know if it is, but vitamin, I mean, it's... you have a pill form vitamin B that you're shaving up. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
something in there that there's some kind of binder. It's like
Okay.
these
All right,
people
all
that
right.
shoot Percocets. It's not a matter of you're shooting a Percocet. There's other things in that pill that are water soluble. There's waxes. There's, you know, binders. The new
Stuff that your body can tolerate digesting, but not in your
yes,
blood
exactly.
system.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
The new Oxycontins, they have wax right in them. And these junkies think they've got a way figured out around it where you break the pill up and you melt the wax down and then you shock it with cold water with a little vinegar in it. And I'm just looking at them
Yeah.
like, just think what you're saying. Vinegar in your veins.
Yeah.
So, and then you also have extremists out there. I mean, there's people that are taking the meth heads,
Yeah.
are taking Adderall now and breaking it down with ammonia. Like, gonna scrub my toilets ammonia, let it sit for half an hour, and then they suck it straight up. And
Wow.
and how they're not dead is beyond me. But this is
Yeah.
a thing that I've heard of more than 3 people doing, where
Oh
they'll
my
break
God.
down their Adderall, and they'll just in one go 30 Adderalls, and I'm like, I couldn't imagine
Wow.
taking more than 2 Adderalls. I'd be
Right.
you
right.
know,
Oh yeah.
I'd be running miles.
Oh yeah.
So, and a lot of it is that nobody's doing the research.
Yeah.
Well, the thing
I'm all for-
is, when you're on drugs, your sole focus is to catch a buzz again. Your whole
Yeah,
brain,
that makes sense.
everything
Absolutely.
in you is almost like a person who's starving for oxygen. You are starving for the high. And so if something almost remotely makes some sort of sense, you can convince yourself that it's a great
The brain
idea.
will make patterns out of chaos. It's
Yes.
what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
So, and that's the whole thing. Is the other thing too is that you've got these people that will go and tell you, "Oh man, don't worry about it. You're fine to do this. Like you're fine to reuse your needles, even if because it's just you. So what does it matter?" But they don't realize that that's where Hep C comes from. From
Right.
your dirty blood in there and the
Oh, yeah.
other stuff that's left over. It's not necessarily that you're sharing it with somebody who has Hep C. Like, it doesn't just come out of nowhere and
Right.
it's been around forever. There's an actual reason, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
That, and like I was saying, the research thing. Like, I dedicated 10 years to drugs. I said, I have 10 years. I'm going to find out everything I can. I'm going to do as much as I can. I'm going to push the envelope. I'm not going to go and try to die. You know what I mean? I'm going to
Yeah.
try to be as safe as possible, as safe as I think I can be. And then I'm going to call it quits. And at 24, I said, okay, it's been 10 years. I'm done. But every time I would
Wow.
ingest something new, I would spend at least 3 hours, not just looking up through medical dictionaries and stuff that I could find on Google, but Erowid. Erowid is a great, great site. It's a lot of user-based experiences, but there are some actual facts that are included.
Huh.
That's where you find out, okay, for my body weight, what are people taking? You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
just, oh, here, take this tab of acid. Okay, well, I'd like to know how many micrograms of LSD I'm actually taking. Because if it's 1,000 mics in this tab versus 300, that's a big, big difference. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the difference between me having a great time and me going and chewing my arm off and then dancing with a dog naked. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and so anytime I would ingest
What kind
anything,
of dog?
Probably a Chihuahua.
Chihuahua.
It's really hard to dance with a
The
Chihuahua.
dog's naked
unless you're
anyway,
on
though.
acid.
Really.
No, you're naked. That's
Oh!
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, we don't want
Oh.
to. The dogs are embarrassed easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want
They're
to.
like
Hey,
trees in winter.
Johnny.
They just don't put their clothes on.
You gotta go. It's been a very quick hour. Thank you very
Yeah,
much. for
Yeah,
being
thank you. This has been really interesting. Yeah.
Definitely.
Right,
Anytime
very
you guys
cool,
want me back,
very
I'd
cool.
love to come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about your experience of being from 14. You were homeless.
No. From 16, I was homeless.
16.
14 to 24, I dedicated 10 years to finding out what I could about drugs, learning about it. I was a dealer for about 7 years.
Yeah.
That was interesting, but horrible.
Yeah.
Wicked horrible.
It's a lot of thinking you're real popular. At the end of it all, you realize
right.
everybody just wanted free drugs.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yep.
you.
Wow.
Yeah. Paranoia strikes deep. Hey, we'll see you next week.